I believe that we will get to a point where interracial marriage isn't even a special thing. I do think that when people are trying to seek solace and get some healing, I do think that for that it's best that they tend to bond with someone who has the same cultural experience as them, so that way they have someone who can work through the various issues that they work through together, and who's able to kind of see the world from an angle that they've seen the world from, and is able to understand that, because there's so much, especially with Black people, that we have to cope with. And sometimes we need that our partners to be people who can understand what that experience is on a really deep and visceral level, and be sensitive to that. There's so many things that Black people deal with, Black women deal with, growing up, and to have someone who can identify that, who can I understand, like, all right, I know why you find this to be, I know why you find getting your hair to be important, hair done to be important. I know why you don't like the fact that the people were watching us as we entered the store. Certain things like that can't be fully understood. Um, but like I said, I hope that we get to a time where we're able to come together and really identify, and no matter whose experience, be able to come and identify, like, from their perspective, like, damn, you know what, that would suck if every time you walked in the store, if people felt like they needed to watch you, as if just based on the color of your skin. Like, that's something that's like, like, we want people to be able to identify in each other's the problems that they deal with society. All right, so I decided to do this podcast thing, real quick. Nice and easy, nice and smooth. Um, Here we go. So I'm gonna share with you guys a recording about interracial marriage that I had back in May 9th of 2023. Uh, just to help me reflect on how far I've evolved in my thinking. Um, Part of that recording is me just trying to get to the understanding that um, of seeing myself more so as a person, as a human, as someone who uh, isn't just like these labels, and trying to remove as many labels from myself as possible to really connect to what it feels like to be another person. And I was hoping that that would be shared throughout the world. So I think part of this podcast is that journey through conversation about how to get to the human, how to get to the understanding of what it's like to be human. One of the biggest issues, I was talking with uh, this girl I work with. One of the biggest issues that women tend to have with men is that there's a misunderstanding of women's feelings. So as a human, I had to step into that feminine and see, like, all right, what are you talking about? So women, when they feel, they are their feelings, meaning that when you're in your feminine and you are in the world of feels, and you're in the world of spirits, in the world of where vibes, and you can like how things feel. When something is felt a certain way, it is that way. um there is truth in the feeling. So when things don't feel good, and the person might not think the intention of them doing something that made them not feel good, in a way, it's like, hey, like, no, that feeling was real. Like, what's up? Like, what are we not reaching towards? What is going on in the spirit that you're not feeling for me? Like, where there's a disconnect. So women are their feelings. That's why you'll have relationships where when she gets in her feelings, she's like do or die for this guy. And women right now, a lot of them have been protecting their feelings because they realize that there's a lot of men like me who fucking could not even relate or does not want to relate to the world of feelings because we had to live in the masculine. We had to live in a world of gray feelings where, when you want to cry, you just have to gray it out and just keep pushing forward. So as a man, as a human who experienced a masculine world, um, I had to learn what it was to feel and to be comfortable in that, to not feel weak in that, to actually feel strength and knowing that there's a power in understanding how things feel. We don't pay attention to that. We don't like go and be like, oh shit, like how am I feeling right now? And once I tapped into that, that made me a much better leader. That made me a much better uh, friend, someone you could like talk to, even though there's still some distance that I have with people due to things that I'm still working out within myself. But once I am able to break some of those barriers down, I'm a much more understanding person when it comes to the world of feeling, which I think in the world of masculinity, deep masculinity, we tend to lack that tapping into that femininity, that ideal of feeling, especially when you are trying to grind towards a goal. Feeling can't really happen, or at least we don't think that it's happening, but it does. We might do these things unconsciously. Like one time, this one kid who was working for me, he was slamming doors, like slamming refrigerator doors. So I just calmly went up to him and was like, yo, man. Like after another man was just upset with him and he was like, yo, man, you've been slamming stuff. And he looked at me and was like, oh shit. I didn't even know. But that's that masculinity of like, we don't know that we're in our feelings and we're just acting and we can't even identify it as our feelings, like, so like that time where you might have shoved your girlfriend a little too hard, or you might have like dragged her or gripped her up in a way that you slowly leaked out some aggression that you didn't that you had, but you were repressing so much that it slipped out. When she feels that and is like withdrawn, is because she knows that you haven't tapped into that feeling, you haven't opened yourself up to that feeling, and that you don't have the capacity to even talk about what that is and where that comes from. But at the same time, you have women who haven't tapped into their masculinity and haven't even identified how they can take those feelings that their partner might have and use that as leverage. And that's the shadow, dark masculinity aspect of your feminine nature, where you don't realize that you're so much in your feminine that you don't realize your masculine has been growing in this dark area this whole entire time. That's why you have women after a while get jealous and upset and be like, I want the same position as you. I want to go around and fuck as many people as you. I want to go do these things that you're doing. But it's like they can't. They don't have the chemical makeup or the life experience to understand why someone would do that. Um, and when they find themselves in that world, find themselves so deep in their masculine, and they to the point where they've almost lost their feminine, they're depressed because then their life is unbalanced. Same thing with men. When you have put yourself so far in your masculine that you have turned yourself into this person who can't feel, and a person who has to rely on the feminine, to bring that out of you, you become a slave to the feminine nature because you don't have as your feminine has been developing in the dark, has been developing in shadow, has been developing very toxic traits. So that way, when you get to a relationship with a partner and things get heavy and your jealousy comes out, your pettiness comes out, all these things, all these feminine traits, these dark toxic feminine traits come out of you that you didn't know you had because you have never focused or even begin to fucking even get a chance to grasp your feminine nature. Damn. I don't even know. I feel like I should just stop here. Yeah.